I'm not sure who I'm writing this to. Maybe you. Maybe the version of me who stood in the kitchen at 16 and held a laminated bus pass and said, "Thank you." Because I didn't know yet that I was allowed to say anything else. I'll start there, but I want you to know, the bus pass wasn't the beginning. It was just the moment the pattern finally had a shape I could see clearly. My sister Claire got a white Honda Civic for her 16th birthday. I remember the bow. Red, oversized, the kind you see in car commercials. My parents stood in the driveway with their arms around each other. And my dad had his phone out. And my mom was crying a little. The good kind. Claire screamed and hugged them both, and the neighbors came out to look. 2 months later, for mine, my mother handed me an envelope at breakfast. Inside was a bus pass and a $10 coffee shop gift card. She said it would build character. She said it like she'd thought about it, like she believed it, like character was a thing she was deliberately giving me, and not a thing she was simply withholding. I said thank you. I put it in my pocket. I went to school on the bus. I want to be fair, so I'll say this. My parents were not monsters. They were people who had quietly, probably without ever deciding to, sorted their children into different categories. Claire was the one they worried about in the way that makes you protective. I was the one they didn't worry about. Which sounds like a compliment and isn't. To not be worried about is to be left to manage yourself. I managed myself. My grandmother, my mother's mother, Margaret, came to my school play when I was 14. My parents missed it because Claire had a dance recital rescheduled to the same evening. I understood. I told them I understood. Margaret drove 40 minutes and sat in the 3rd row. And afterward took me for pie at the diner on Clement Street. And asked me about every character I'd played, and why I'd made the choices I made. She talked to me like my answers were worth hearing. She did that consistently, for years, in ways I only fully inventoried later. She asked about my applications. She read my essays. She told me once, plainly, that she saw me, not as a correction to anything, not as a lesson, just as information she wanted me to have. I didn't know what she was doing. I know now, the 2 years between 16 and 18. I learned the bus routes so well I could have drawn them from memory. I got a job at a print shop 3 afternoons a week. I opened a savings account at the credit union on Broad Street, and I didn't mention it at dinner. I don't say this to sound resourceful. I say it because that's what you do when you understand, early, that the scaffolding around you has gaps. My 18th birthday was a Tuesday. I was eating cereal when I heard the truck. I went to the front door and there was a tow truck in the driveway, and the driver, a heavyset man with a clipboard, looked at me and said, "Are you Audrey?" I said yes. He handed me a set of keys. He pointed to what was loaded on the flatbed. A used Subaru, maybe 8 years old, silver clean, not a bow, not a commercial, just a car. I heard my mother's coffee cup hit the kitchen tile. The driver had me sign something. I signed it. I stood in the driveway and I looked at the car, and I felt something I still don't have the right word for. Not triumph, not relief. Something quieter than both. In the glove compartment, there was an envelope. Inside, Margaret's handwriting. Small and even the way she wrote grocery lists. I won't say what it said, it's mine. I've read it many times, in different years, and it has meant something slightly different each time, which I think is what she intended. She died the following April. Quietly, the way she did most things. My mother apologized to me once, about 6 months later. It was a brief apology, and it spent more time on how hard it had been for her to recognize than on what she was recognizing. I accepted it. Not because it was enough, but because I've learned the difference between what I need from someone and what they're capable of giving. Claire and I are polite. We send birthday texts. She has never mentioned the truck. So, here is what I want to say, to you, to myself at 16, standing in that kitchen with the bus pass. Someone is watching. Not everyone who sees you will say so. Some of them are just waiting until they can do something about it. You will not always be able to tell who they are. Pay attention anyway.